I don't know about you, but I definitely miss the days when video games gave us experiences like these.
Never thought it would end like this, huh? Huh, Maria? Tom! No! The DSL. We got it, sir.
Good. That's one less loose end. Oh, bury me not on the lone prairie.
Now, I don't know about everybody else, but when I played video games growing up, and even now, I played them to escape reality, to kind of just dedicate a few hours to just playing, turning my brain off in a world where real world consequences and issues weren't a problem. But now that seems to be the only focus of certain developers and game makers, just making sure that everything going on in the real world you can't escape from as a gamer. You have to deal with it 24/7. Back then, developers during their design process would sit at a table, say, all right, what's going to sell? And these were the things that people were looking for. And you would think this is a joke, but it's not. Game developers kind of have the mentality of this.
Put a tick in it, make her gay!
When we see these progressive ideas and modern morals in video games just as a one-time fluke, that's all it is, just a fluke. When it happens 2 or 3 more times, then that may start discouraging some of the old franchise fans, not having them play new titles, and you're trying to attract a new audience. There's nothing wrong with trying to attract a new audience, but always remember those who got you there. However, when it happens 5 or more times, or this many times, it's no longer a pattern or a fluke. It is now the development practices and beliefs of all developers, and this is what they want to accomplish. You know, it's pretty sad yet funny at the same time that Assassin's Creed Shadows has garnered so much backlash in only a day of people playing it, truly showing us that Ubisoft and some of the developers have to be some of the most tone-deaf people in the creative space. Assassin's Creed Mirage was a great way to pay homage to the original Assassin's Creed game, showing us that Ubisoft was thinking about returning to that formula that drew people into the franchise in the first place. But in a matter of one day, we have seen things like this.
Allow me to look into your eyes and see into your heart.
And this.
Lust is a journey of 1,000 steps that begins with a kiss.
You know, I completely understand Ubisoft wanting Assassin's Creed Shadows to fit into that RPG model, like they've done with the last 3 titles that fit that model as well. But the romance scenes were not as explicit or cinematic like they are in Assassin's Creed Shadows. In fact, in Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla, those romance scenes kind of just faded to black. They were suggestive. You knew what was going on, but the games did not cram it in your throat and show you what exactly was happening. You know, I guess Assassin's Creed Shadows is just sticking to Ubisoft's new development mindset moving forward with the Assassin's Creed franchise.
Maybe we should go a different route than we did with
AC Shadows. AC Shadows.
Put a tick in it and make her name it gay!
Sure, yeah. Well, let's try that. Again.
But if you are looking to place blame in an area that keeps propping these games up, giving them the spotlight and giving them praise, you have to look at the places that are putting their reviews out. When some of the reviews have huge disparities between the actual reviewer score and the user score, that just goes to show you that the game is being favored because it is pushing a certain agenda. And this is a reason why it keeps showing up when nobody is buying this game. It's actually kind of pathetic the lengths some of these reviewers go to blatantly lie to us when we know the game sucks. My favorite comparison within the past year will probably always be the review of Black Myth Wukong and Dragon Age Veilguard. It is pathetic that these 2 games are both considered generally favorable when Dragon Age Veilguard has been proven to be a financial flop and disaster for the studio. You know, it's it's really funny, man. Like, while I was making this video for a whole other reason and seeing all the AC Shadow stuff come out, I just had it added into this video. And seeing IGN put out a top 10 list for their top 10 Assassin's Creed games, and this is what they came up with, it really speaks to just that unspoken rule that you cannot spell without. I don't know about you all, but I would highly respect a game studio that didn't hide behind a franchise that everybody loves and just had the main character beginning of the game sit in front of the screen and tell you, hey, listen, you're going to play this game, but we're going to try to make you feel bad about your personal beliefs. If you don't believe with A, B, and C, well, then you're a loser, you're a bigot, and you're a racist. But by playing this game, you could have the moral high ground because you're supporting us in this fantasy-like world. You know, somehow in the past few years, gaming design principles have gone from these intricate processes that were used to create really complex stories and complete experiences. But somehow that shifted over to, hey, do you remember your old social studies project where you would bring in the newspaper and go over current events? Yeah, we're going to do that for every single game the studio makes now. And if the studio completely fails, as a developer, it wasn't your fault. You were following our instruction, but it's not our fault either. It's the player's fault. These players just don't want to play our game because they might be racist, they might be bigoted, or maybe they're a loser. At some point, the gamers are getting fed up with this, and the studios are failing. Studios are closing, and guess what? That's their fault, not ours. But luckily, we're seeing some great changes in the video game industry. And how? We're seeing developers actually be held accountable for their actions, for their decisions. You know, they can't just make a game that's going to pick one side of a political argument and throw that message down your throat without consequences. Gamers won't stand for it anymore. And what's even funnier, and probably the greatest achievement of gamers recently, is when we see behavior like this happening, we completely say this is not normal, nor is this okay anymore.
Mostly all people of color. We have no white people on our team. I did that because I wanted to create a safe environment. And I know the best way for an environment to be safe is to be around people who are just like me.
And yeah, I know that video is a little bit older in terms of being on the internet, but it's still relevant. And something like that should always be pointed to anytime somebody asks, why are AAA games failing these days? And that's exactly why. What's going to happen next is these AAA studios, whom we've all known to love and become household names, are going to start falling. They're going to start crumbling down. Once these companies fall, the indie studios who have stuck true to the true values of game design and rewarded their players are going to take their place. And that's exactly what's happening. But at the end of the day, the most important thing to remember from this whole video is when you want to play a game, the only opinion that matters is yours. Is it a game you like? Is it a genre you enjoy? If so, go ahead and play it and have a good time.